Welcome back, guys. We are on letter 22 in Seneca's Letters to Lucilius, and this is on the futility of halfway measures. All right, so he says here, you understand by this time that you must withdraw yourself from those showy and depraved pursuits, but you still wish to know how this may be accomplished. There are certain things which can be pointed out only by someone who is present. The physician cannot prescribe by letter the proper time for eating or bathing. He must feel the pulse. There is an old adage about gladiators. They plan their fight in the ring as they intently watch. Something in the adversary's glance, some movement of his hand, even some slight bending of his body gives a warning. Okay, so he's starting off the letter here talking about this idea that there's some things that basically that we've been talking about the retirement, right? And he's saying there's some things that you must withdraw yourself from these showy and depraved pursuits, right? So how do you actually do this, right? You still don't know how to do this, right? Well, unfortunately, there's some things that can only be shown by someone who's present, right? A physician, he can't tell you, what you need to do, what medicine you need to take, basically, if he doesn't feel your pulse, if he doesn't check you out. Gladiators, when they're in the ring, they're watching their adversary, and that gives warning. So that they need to see something in order to know the answer here. So he's saying in verse 2, we could formulate general rules and commit them to writing as to what is usually done or ought to be done. Such advice may be given not only to our absent friends, but also to succeeding generations. In regard, however, to that second question, when or how your plan is to be carried out, no one will advise at long range. We must take counsel in the presence of the actual situation. So, again, here, a little bit cryptic here. He kind of diverted for a second. He said, so, we could formulate general rules and commit them to writing, okay? And such advice may be given not only to our absent friends, but to succeeding generations, right? So he's saying that, there's some things that we can put into writing, and it's great because it's beneficial to other people and then to future generations, right? But he's talking about the second question, the actual question of how to carry out your plan, right? Again, he's saying again that no one is going to advise at long range. So let's see what he has to say. In verse 3, he says, you must be not only present in the body, but watchful in the mind, if you would avail yourself of the fleeting opportunity. Accordingly, look about you for the opportunity. If you see it, grasp it, and with all your energy and with all your strength, devote yourself to this task, to rid yourself of those business duties. Okay, so he really wants him to retire, right? This is like the third or fourth letter here, okay? So he's saying here that, you cannot only be present in the body, but you got to be watchful in the mind, okay? And you have to look for this fleeting opportunity, okay? And he says here, look about for your opportunity. If you see it, grasp it, and with all your energy and all your strength, devote yourself to this task, to rid yourself of those business duties. So he's saying to just do it, like get out of there. Now listen carefully to the opinion which I shall offer. It is my opinion that you should withdraw either from that kind of existence or else from existence altogether. Wow, that's kind of harsh. But I likewise maintain that you should take a gentle path, that you may loosen rather than cut the knot which you have bungled so badly in tying. Provided there shall be no other way of loosening it, you may actually cut it. No man is so faint-hearted that he would rather hang in suspense forever than drop once for all. So this is kind of interesting. I suppose he's backpedaling a little bit and saying, all right, if you're not going to just, quit, if you're not just going to withdraw like I'm saying you should, then sure. All right, you could take the gentle path, right? Maybe you slowly get out of this, okay? And he's saying that if there's not a way, then just cut it, okay? And he would say, he's saying that no one would want to like hang in suspense. They'd rather just drop if they're, at some point, right? Just hanging in suspense forever is not good. All right, let's move on. Meanwhile, and this is of first importance, do not hamper yourself. Be content with the business into which you have lowered yourself, or, as you prefer to have people think, have tumbled. There is no reason why you should be struggling on to something further. If you do, you will lose all grounds of excuse, and men will see that it was not a tumble. The usual explanation which men offer is wrong. I was compelled to do it. Suppose it was against my will. I had to do it. But no one is compelled to pursue prosperity at top speed. It means something to call a halt, even if one does not offer resistance, instead of pressing eagerly after favoring fortune. All right, so a few things about this that he's saying here. All right, so we'll break it down slowly. All right, so this is really important, okay? And he's saying, don't hamper yourself. Be content with the business in which you have lowered yourself. So apparently Lucilius has actually taken a step back, all right, which is good in Seneca's eyes, okay? Or he says, as you prefer to have people think, have tumbled, right? So he wants people to think that he actually tumbled, that he actually fell from his higher position. It doesn't seem like there'd be a good reason why. I suppose the reason why is because he doesn't want to admit that he's deciding to retire. He doesn't want to look weak. He's trying to make it look like this is just what happened. I don't know. It's really weird, right? There's no reason why you should be struggling onto something further. If you do, you'll lose all grounds of excuse, and men will see that it was not a tumble. So he's saying that if you keep on trying, if you try to move from this position to something higher, like you're instead of going the other way, no one's going to believe that it wasn't tumble. At that point, they're going to know. They're going to know that you had purposely backed off and now you're climbing back up. So he says the usual explanation, which men offer, is wrong. I was compelled to do it. Suppose it was against my will. I had to do it. He's saying no one's compelled to pursue prosperity at top speed. So that's why they'll know, all right? It means something to call a halt. So instead of pressing after favoring fortune, right? Again, which the Stoics are very big on. All right, so he says in verse 5, shall you then be put out with me if I only come to advise you, but also if I not only come to advise you, but also call in others to advise you, wiser heads than my own, men before whom I won't want to lay any problem upon which I am pondering? Read the letter of Epicurus, which bears on this matter. It is addressed to Idomeneus. The writer asks him to hasten as fast as he can and beat a retreat before some stronger influence comes between and takes him from the liberty to withdraw. So he's saying here, that not only is he going to advise Lucilius, but he'll call on someone else, right? And he's calling on Epicurus, who he says is wiser than him, right? And he's talking about this letter addressed to Idomeneus, who we talked about in the last letter. And in that letter, he says to hasten as fast as he can and beat retreat before some stronger influence comes between and takes him from him the liberty to withdraw. So he's saying, in that case, like, yeah, do this quickly before something else comes along, and then you get trapped right back into it again, right? Maybe you've been there with a toxic relationship. In verse 6, he says, but also adds that one should attempt nothing except at the time when it can be attempted suitably and seasonably. Then, when the long-sought occasion comes, let him be up and doing. Epicurus forbids us to doze when we are meditating escape. He bids us hope for safe release from even the hardest trials, provided we are not in too great a hurry before the time, nor too dilatory when the time arrives. Okay, so let's break this down. So what is he saying here? He also adds, that one should attempt nothing except at a time when it can be attempted suitably and seasonably. So wait for the right timing. Okay, then when that time comes, just go, do it. You can't doze when you're meditating escape. Okay, you have to hope for a safe release from the hardest trials. Okay, and don't be too great in a hurry. Okay, when before the time, and don't be too lazy when the time arrives. Okay. In verse 7, he says, now I suppose you're looking for a Stoic motto also. There is really no reason why anyone should slander the school to you on the grounds of its rashness. As a matter of fact, its caution is greater than its courage. You're perhaps expecting the secret to utter such words as these. It is base to filch under a burden. Wrestle with the duties which you have once undertaken. No man is brave and earnest if he avoids danger, if his spirit does not grow with the very difficulty of his task. Okay, so he's giving a bit of wisdom here, and obviously the one he gives in this case is, it is base to filch under a burden, to flinch under a burden. Wrestle with the duties which you have once undertaken. No man is brave and earnest if he avoids danger, if his spirit does not grow with the very difficulty of his task. So we'll move on and we'll kind of break this down when he talks about it. Words like these will indeed be spoken to you, if only your perseverance shall have an object that is worthwhile. If only you will not have to do or suffer anything unworthy of a good man. Besides, a good man will not waste himself upon mean and discreditable work, or be busy merely for the sake of being busy. Neither will he, as you imagine, become so involved in ambitious schemes that he will have continually to endure their ebb and flow. Nay, when he sees the dangers, uncertainties, and hazards in which he was formerly tossed about, he will withdraw, not turning his back to the foe, but falling back little by little to a safe position. So again, he's really trying to get him to go forward with this and get out of this position that he's in, right? To fully commit to this, right? So, he's encouraged him, you said you're going to do it, all right? So you better do it. And then he's saying here, these words are going to be spoken to you, if only your perseverance shall have the object that is worthwhile. If only you're going after the right thing. If only you will not have to do or suffer anything unworthy of a good man. So you have to do it in the right way. Besides, a good man will not waste himself upon mean and discreditable work, or be busy merely for the sake of being busy, right? So a good man is going to make sure that he's doing the right thing and not just doing work for the sake of work. Neither will he, as you imagine, become so involved in ambitious schemes that he'll have to continually endure their ebb and flow. So he's not going to go and do this hustle here and this thing here, these schemes. When he sees the dangers, uncertainties, and hazards which he was formerly tossed about, he will withdraw, not turning his back to the foe, but falling back little by little to a safe position. So he's saying, in this case, that's what someone would do. Is it doesn't mean just run away, right? I'm not saying run away. He's saying just back off, in retreat. Verse 9, he says, "From business, however, my dear Lucilius, it is easy to escape, if only you will despise the rewards of business. We are held back and kept from escaping by thoughts like these. What then? Shall I leave behind me these great prospects? Shall I depart at the very time of harvest? Shall I have no slaves at my side? No retinue for my litter? No crowd in my reception room? Hence men leave such advantages of these with reluctance. They love the reward of their hardship, but curse the hardships themselves." So this is very accurate. This resonates with me. Okay. He's saying it is easy to escape from business. It is. All you have to do is not want the rewards. Okay. These are the thoughts that hold you back. Shall I leave behind these great prospects? Should I depart at the time of harvest when I'm about to make some money? Shall I not have slaves by my side? Shall I not have, people helping me? No retinue for my litter? No crowd in my reception room, right? So he's saying that men leave these advantages with reluctance, right? Because they want these things for the love and reward of their hardships. People like what they end up getting, but they don't like having to work to get it. Men complain about their ambitions as they complain about their mistresses. In other words, if you penetrate their real feelings, you will find not hatred, but bickering. Search the minds of those who cry down what they have desired, who talk about escaping from things which they are unable to do without. You will comprehend that they are lingering of their own free will in a situation which they declare they find it hard and wretched to endure, right? So, it's good advice, because he's saying, stop. You are choosing to be in your situation. Don't bitch about it, right? Don't whine and complain about it. He's saying that, men complain about this stuff just like they complain about their mistresses. They don't actually hate their job. They don't actually hate what they're doing. They're just bickering about it. Okay, they're crying down the same things that they desired, talking about escaping things that they don't want to do without, right? They're doing this on their own free will, right? And so that's something actually for us to remember as well. It's like, are we really trapped in our situation? Or are we choosing to be in the situation? Anytime we complain about something, it's usually a position, something that we've chosen, and we chose to keep, even though we don't like it. In verse 11, he says, "It is so, my dear Lucilius, there are few men whom slavery holds fast, but there are many more who hold fast to slavery. If, however, you intend to be rid of this slavery, if freedom is genuinely pleasing in your eyes, and if you seek counsel for this one purpose, that you may have the good fortune to accomplish this purpose without perpetual annoyance, how can the whole company of Stoic thinkers fail to approve of your course? Zeno, Criphius, and all their kind will give you advice that is temperate, honorable, and suitable. So he's saying here, look, no one's gonna look down on you for doing this, right? You know, there's plenty of guys that are slaves, but there's a lot more who choose to be slaves, who hold on to the thing that is causing them misery, right? So if you want to be rid of it, you know, if it's really what you really want, okay, you know, how do you think that the Stoic thinkers that are not going to approve your course, they'll all believe that what you're doing is the right thing, okay? So at least you've got someone in your corner. But if you keep turning around and looking about in order to see how much you may carry away with you and how much money you may keep to equip yourself for the life of leisure, you will never find a way out. No man can swim ashore and take his baggage with him. Rise to a higher life with the favor of the gods, but let it not be favor of such a kind as the gods give to men when the kind and genial faces they bestow magnificent ills. Justified so in doing by the one fact that the things which irritate and torture have been bestowed in answer to prayer. All right, so we got to break this one down. It's a little complicated here. Okay, so he's saying, look, if you keep on turning around in order to see what you can take with you, okay, so that you can, you know, how much can you retire on, how much money do you need, and how luxurious can you make your retirement life, you're never going to get a way out, okay? And this is true, right? We get into these situations, and, you know, you might not encounter this if you're younger, but at some point, you'll probably encounter this where you'll be like, all right, well, I could keep on working, or I could quit working, or I could, you know, you're going to keep on trying to make more money so you have a better retirement where you could probably work a lot less and live off a lot less, and you could stop working sooner, okay? So he's saying that no man can swim ashore and take his baggage with him. So you can't take all this stuff with you. If you're going to go to this higher life, okay, then he's saying, but let not be a favor of such a kind as the gods give to men when the kind and genial faces they bestow, when with kind and genial faces they bestow magnificent ills, okay? So he's saying that you when you do this, you'll have favor of the gods, but hopefully it's not the kind that they give when they have these nice faces, but then they're giving you something really bad, okay? Justified in doing so by the one fact that the things which irritate and torture have been bestowed in answer to prayer. So it's quite interesting, right? So what he's saying here is he's saying, look, if you read what he's actually saying right in between the lines here, okay? So let's not let it be the favor, the kind of favor of the gods that the gods give to men, you know, when it looks like they're being nice, okay, but they bestow magnificent ills, okay, and because they would be justified in doing that if they see that the stuff that are the answers to prayers that you've already gotten, those are the things that irritate and torture you. So obviously you like bad things, right? So he's saying, you know, let's not have it so that you get the kind of favor of the gods that where they're like, okay, well, you like bad things, so we're going to give you bad things to answer your prayers, right? In 13, he says, I was putting the seal upon this letter, but it must be broken again in order that it may go to you with its customary contribution, bearing with it some noble word. And lo, here is one that occurs to my mind. I do not know whether it is truth or its nobility of utterance is greater. Spoken by whom, you ask? By Epicurus. For I am still appropriating other men's belongings. So he's going to give his token. Oh, we didn't see the screen here. But anyway, he's going to give his token sign off here with a quote from Epicurus or another philosopher. All right, and he says, the words are, everyone goes out of life just as if he had but lately entered it. Take anyone off his guard, young, old, or middle-aged, you will find that all are equally afraid of death and equally ignorant of life. No one has anything finished because we have kept putting off into the future all our undertakings. No thought in the quotation given above pleases me more than that it taunts old men with being infants. Okay, so what is the quote here, right? The quote is, everyone goes out of life just as if he had but lately entered. So basically everyone dies as if they had just started life. So what does that mean? I mean, what it means is that they didn't even live their life, okay? And he's saying that if you take anyone of any age, all right, they're all equally afraid of death and equally ignorant of life. No one did anything. They didn't finish anything because they kept on putting off to the future, okay? No one thought in the quotation given above or he's saying that nothing in that quotation above pleases him more than taunting old men with being like infants. Okay. 15, no one, he says, leaves this world in a different manner from one who has just been born. That is not true, for we are worse when we die than when we were born, but it is our fault and not that of nature. Nature should scold us, saying, what does this mean? I brought you into the world without desires or fears, free from superstition, treachery, and other curses. Go forth as you were when you entered. So he's saying, no, it's actually worse, okay? When you're a baby, when you're a child, you don't actually have all this crap. He's saying now, what happens by the time you die, it's like you got all these fears, you got desires, you got treachery, like all this stuff going on. And so you're actually in a worse condition. He says in 16, a man has caught the message of wisdom if he can die as free from care as he was at birth. But as it is, we are all aflutter at the approach of the dreaded end. Our courage fails us, our cheeks blanch. Our tears fall, though they are unavailing. But what is baser than to fret at the very threshold of peace? Okay, so he's saying, you're getting the wisdom of this if you can die free from care, just like you were when you were born, okay? We're all kind of afraid of this approach of our dreaded end, okay? Our courage fails us, we get scared, right? But what's worse than to fret at the very threshold of peace? Because he's saying that death is peace. So why would you fret about this? Verse 17, he says, the reason, however, is that we are stripped of all our goods. We have jettisoned our cargo of life and are in distress, for no part of it has been packed in the hold. It has all been heaved overboard and has drifted away. Men do not care how nobly they live, but only how long. Although it is within the reach of every man to live nobly, but within no man's power to live long. Farewell. So a couple things here, okay? He's saying that the reason why we're so afraid is because we lose everything. We've lost everything that we had, okay? Because none of it's been packed in the hold, all right? It's not coming with us. It has all been heaved overboard and drifted away. And he's saying that the thing about it is that men don't really care how nobly they live. That you could think of as packing things into the cargo hold, okay? Good deeds, all right? You know, how you are as a person, but only how long. And he said every man could live nobly, but not any man can extend his life. So I think that's pretty powerful. So yeah, this one, again, it's mostly about following through, right? On what you said, right? Because he's talking about to Lucilius about his retirement, but this is you following through. What do you need to do? How do you follow through on everything that you've started? Okay. Don't back off. Don't get sucked back into something bad. Instead, actually follow through. Do what you said you're going to do. Take the steps and go forward with them. See you tomorrow.